Thank you. I am so excited. I just want to say, if you're brand new, this isn't going to make sense, but it's a little bit hard to follow. First 2 weeks ago, we had Pastor Elise, a fantastic message about a chair. And I'm a little bit, it's hard to follow her because she has a really cute Aussie accent. I don't have that. I grew up in the South. You don't want me to turn that on, okay? And then last week, we had an incredible message that somehow incorporated Sweet Caroline and Party in the USA. It was awesome, but I'm excited every time I get to speak. I know God is gonna use what he's doing in me. And last night I didn't sleep. Like, I'm not just saying that. I kept looking at the clock, and I told Kevin this morning, hey, I didn't sleep last night. And he said, I know, you told me several times. You're welcome. But God is doing something. And God's gonna talk to us today about contending. So, we're gonna get started here in John chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. 6 days before the Passover celebration began, Jesus arrived in Bethany, the home of Lazarus, the man he had raised from the dead. A dinner was prepared in Jesus' honor. Martha served, and Lazarus was among those who ate with him. Then Mary took the 12-ounce jar of expensive perfume made from the essence of nard, and she anointed Jesus' feet with it, wiping his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with fragrance. Aren't you thankful for God's word today? Yes, you can go ahead and have a seat. So today we are talking about contending again. And I want to remind you, maybe contending is something that I just need to refresh you on. Contending is helping someone else understand who God is. Helping someone that maybe doesn't know him, how to get to know him and take steps towards him. But I thought it was interesting because contending sometimes can come with opposition. Have you ever had to contend for something that maybe someone else disagrees with? Yeah, can be difficult. Oh, also, I should just make a really quick note. At the 9 a.m., I had a really sweet person about 3 rows back. She preached with me. I appreciated it. And listen, I'm not a professional, so I'm gonna need you to preach with me as well. Can you guys do that? I know Kevin says that. I really do need it. But we're gonna talk about contending because it matters. Jesus says it matters. It's our job to go and make disciples of all nations, as it says in Matthew. It's important to contend for those around us so they can get to know him as well. And I have several stories of contending in my years of life that I have worked really, really hard for somebody to come to know Jesus. My friend Stephanie was a teaching friend of mine. We taught first grade together. Our classrooms are right next door to each other. And I invited Stephanie to church for 9 years. And you're like, oh, cool, she came with you a few times. No, she didn't. After 9 years of Easter invites and Best Sunday Ever invites and Super Bowl invites, and she'd smile and nod and not show up, she came after 9 years. But can I tell you what it felt like at year 8? Not great. Can I tell you what it felt like? Like it gets embarrassing. Has anybody ever felt this way? Have you invited somebody so many times? I hope everybody has invited somebody so many times that it starts to get exhausting. It starts to get hard to contend when you feel like it's falling on deaf ears. But Jesus says to keep contending. Jesus says to not give up, and I'm really glad that nobody gave up on me. So today, we're gonna talk about how do we contend without getting exhausted in our own faith. Well, I'm gonna first take a poll of hands. I hope all of you slept great last night, but is anybody else tired today? A few of us, okay. Yeah, just side note, this is gonna be maybe a little controversial. Summer's long when you're a parent. But see, I have this like really hard balance because I'm also a teacher and summer's not long enough, right? Is anybody else in the same boat? Yeah, I actually, the other night, I think I see Mike up there maybe. I messaged our friend Mike and I said, please tell me there's a basketball camp next week. Please let me sign a child up that needs out of the house because I'm getting tired. And in our faith, we can get tired too. So today we're gonna look at a story. We're gonna look at a story that I feel like often gets overlooked. We're gonna tell the story of Martha. We hear a lot about Mary. We hear about their brother Lazarus, who, spoiler alert, was raised from the dead. But we're gonna talk about Martha, okay? So we first see Martha in Luke chapter 10, verse 38. And here's what happens. As Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Side note, I don't know if you've ever had pressure to have company, but how about Jesus? Okay, I don't know how difficult your in-laws are. Mine are great. Just side note. Why are you giggling? Stop. Okay, this is distracting. But it would be a lot of pressure, okay? So Martha is prepping. Back to verse 39. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, "Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come help me." Okay, I don't know about you, but I heard Luke say that Martha's distracted. Luke says she's distracted because she's got so much going on. Now, I don't know this feeling. I grew up in a home where my mom home cooked like Sunday lunch every Sunday. Anybody else? Okay, that's not our house. We're having Taco Bell today. Yay. But this was stressful for Martha. And it says that Martha was distracted. The writer, Luke. Okay, but I'd like to point out that I don't think Martha was just distracted. I think she was being a little bit of a baby. She says, "God, this is unfair. Mary is sitting and I'm working." Now, I didn't fully understand this until I had 4 kids. Okay, I grew up the youngest of 3 siblings. I'm much younger than my brothers, so I hope they're watching and heard that. But I didn't deal with this quite as much as a child. And then we had 4 kids within 6 years, and we heard the word fair a lot. Everything's unfair. Did you know that? I got 7 Skittles and he got 8. Or, that's a true story, okay? And they don't grow out of that. It's still an issue. Or last year on her birthday party, she had 6 people spend the night, and you're saying I could only have 5. Well, your friends are a little more, okay? You're lucky we gave you 5. Parker, it's a solo show. Things aren't fair at our house. In fact, one of our friends said, fair is where pigs go to win ribbons. She said, every time your kids say something's not fair, I want you to respond with fair is where pigs go to win ribbons. Our kids don't like that. We say it, okay? We hear a lot about the unfairness of life. Martha is frustrated. She thinks this is unfair. Why does Mary get to sit when I have to do all the work? I'm not going to lie that in my life, every time I've heard this story, I honestly only connected with Mary. Okay, you've heard stories that I am more of the type B personality, and I'm okay with sitting. Moms, I want to free you of something. Your dishes that are in the sink when you go to bed at night, not only are they going to be there tomorrow, they're always going to be there. Okay, I meet people that are like, I can't go to bed until the dishes are done. I would never sleep. Okay, like somebody's always using a cup. I don't like for popcorn or for paint. I don't know, it just appears. But that's not my personality. So I've always had a harder time connecting with Martha because I'm okay sitting. We've talked about my preparation for meals before. When I do actually cook, we have a really big marital issue at our house, and that's over the order of the line. I know some of you are like, this is crazy. Maybe you're sitting next to somebody who has the same issue. I'm apparently not a great host, and when we have tacos, I'm like, here it is. And Kevin's like, Bethany, did you not put it in order? And I'm like, what order? Apparently there's a correct order for tacos. Okay, some of you are shaking your head. I can't relate. Apparently you need plates first. That's a good thing. And then you need the taco shells. And then you need the meat. And then cheese, okay. I was gonna say lettuce. We never have lettuce. I always forget that step. It's too healthy. So then we have cheese and then sour cream and salsa and then whatever, lettuce again, okay. Wow, you guys are fancy taco people. But my brain doesn't think that way. Do you know why? Because we're all adults. Figure it out. When you come over, if you wanna eat, find food. Okay, I love you, but that's not my gifting. My gifting is not the same as Martha's giftings. But I started to realize as I studied this that I do have a lot in common with Martha. I've had a lot of times of feeling a little bit of resentment because life's not fair. In fact, when Kevin and I were youth pastors, newly married, I used to think, what in the world does the rest of the staff do? We're the ones doing everything. We're up late at night. We're at camp. And then we became senior pastors, and I'm like, let me be a youth pastor. And then we were church planners. North, shout out to you. Church planning's hard. I would get the kids up and I'd have to go by myself because Kevin had to go set up at like 5 a.m. and I'd have to sing and I'd have to host and I'd have to play keys some weeks. And then there was so much to do and then I'd have to tear down and it would be really hard. And I would say, this isn't fair. Some people just come and sit and leave. This isn't fair. Does anybody else relate with me? Have you ever been serving thinking maybe this isn't fair, right? Martha starts to feel that way. She starts to grow a bitter root, which Hebrews warns us of. Don't let a bitter root take hold. It can cause destruction. And all of a sudden, this bitterness creeps in and gets in the way. And my issues with others slowly become my issues with God. Has that happened to you? All of a sudden, things that I'm having issues with other people or my unfairness or things that I'm seeing others aren't doing, all of a sudden I start turning as an issue with God. But I want to show you what Martha does. Martha's serving, and she's bitter, and she's complaining. She thinks God's not fair. She's mad at Mary. But then something happens. In John 11, verse 1, we find out that her brother is sick. Her brother Lazarus. A man named Lazarus was sick. He lived in Bethany with his sisters, Mary and Martha. This is the Mary who later poured expensive perfume on the Lord's feet and wiped them with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was sick. So the two sisters sent a message to Jesus telling him, Lord, your dear friend is sick. But when Jesus heard about it, he said, Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. No, it happened for the glory of God, so that the Son of God will receive glory from this. So although Jesus loved Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, he stayed where he was for the next 2 days. So Martha and Mary reached out because Lazarus was sick. And Lazarus ends up dying. And all of a sudden, someone they thought that was going to come through, it appears has not answered. And Martha is getting frustrated. I would be. I can relate to Martha in several ways. Kevin and I went through a period of infertility. And if anybody else has experienced this, you'll understand that it's easy to take a bitter root. It's easy to think, this is never going to happen for me. This is an issue that only happens to me, and it feels like everyone else around you gets pregnant. And I'd like to say that I handled it really, really well, but that would be a lie. It was not a fun season. We also went through my mom's cancer diagnosis. When I was 25 years old, my mom was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. And it was a season that I felt like I was alone. I felt like I prayed, and I just waited. I just waited for God to respond. And we've been through church hurt. After Kevin served as a youth pastor for a little bit, he then took a position as the interim pastor. And guess what? They didn't want us as their pastor. It was awkward. It was an interesting breakup when they literally vote no. It's like, okay. We've been through church hurt. When we were dating, our parents were a part of a church split. I thought it was funny and referred to us as the church Nazarene Romeo and Juliet. Nobody else thought that was as funny. But it was really, really difficult. In times that I reached out saying, God, where are you? Are you helping? Maybe you feel like you're giving more than you're receiving. Maybe in a relationship, maybe in your job. Maybe you're in a season where you're not understanding. And all of a sudden your issues with other people become your issues with God. And you become bitter. But here's the awesome thing that Martha does. In John 11:20, it says, Martha got word that Jesus was coming, and she went to meet him. This is huge. Typically, when somebody really disappoints me, I'm not ready to run out and meet them. I stay a little upset. Martha's frustrated. She's sad. She's disappointed. She's bitter. And she's ready to meet Jesus. I want to tell you today that you might be sitting in a season of depression. You might be sitting in a season of anxiety, of addiction. You might be sitting in a season where you feel like your marriage has no hope, and Jesus is ready to meet you. I want to parallel this to Mary, who we're going to see in a second decides to stay in the house. Mary's not ready to meet Jesus. And Martha gets up and she runs outside and she meets Jesus. Some of you are sitting in a season where you've sat too long, and it's time to get up and it's time to walk to your Father so that he can help you through. Because I want to tell you this, we're about to see that Martha gets to experience one of God's greatest miracles. He's about to raise Lazarus from the dead. If Martha would have stayed in the house, she would have missed exactly what God wanted to do in and through her. She would have stayed in sad. And then it says in verse 28, she returned to Mary. She called Mary aside from the mourners and said, Teacher is here and wants to see you. So Mary went to him. Do you see that in the midst of Martha's frustration and grief, she still has room to go contend for Mary? I don't know who in your life might need contended for. I don't know who God has placed on your heart. We know people that have been sitting in the house for far too long who need to come to the road to meet Jesus. Or maybe it's you. It's time to get up and walk out and meet Jesus. I don't want you to miss one of the greatest miracles God's gonna do in your life if you're not willing to go meet him. Then we see when he raises him from the dead, in verse 40, it says, Jesus responded, didn't I tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe? So they rolled the stone aside. Then Jesus looked up to heaven and said, Father, thank you for hearing me. You always hear me. But I said it out loud for the sake of all of these people standing here so that they will believe you sent me. Then Jesus shouted, Lazarus, come out. And the dead man came out. His hands and feet bound in grave clothes, his face wrapped in a headcloth. Jesus told them, unwrap him and let him go. God came through. God came through for Martha. Well, actually, God came through for Lazarus, right? And God came through for Mary, who needed to come out too. But God came through for Martha because she's different now. Martha is different because now God has listened and answered. I can tell you in my life, God's come through many times. You know that time where the church didn't want us as their pastors? We then got to plant an incredible church that now still meets today. Hundreds of people are there weekly. And God came through in that moment. Infertility, spoiler alert, we have 4 kids. Yeah, we have a lot. And he really came through. In fact, she's sitting right there. I'm gonna embarrass her. But God came through in a season that I thought was hopeless and dark. God came through, and he's going to come through for you too. God can come through in any situation. And you might be saying, but Bethany, my story didn't end like that. Okay, well, I have other endings too. I lost my mom 6 years ago. I prayed every day that God would heal her. And you know what? He didn't heal her how I thought she was going to be healed. But my mom's whole now. My mom's been healed, and she lives with Jesus. I think sometimes we need to change our mentality of how God can come through, because God is going to continue to come through for you time and time again. They finished with the song, On Time God. This week, that song has played in my car many times. I have to take kids lots of places. And this song is over 8 minutes long, so you've got quite a while of drive time before it's over. And it just kept reminding me that God's plans are perfect plans. And recently, some of you know that we've had a house for sale that has been on the market for what feels like 72 years, okay? It's been a fun process. I keep putting time frames on God, okay? During 21 days of prayer and fasting, I thought, this is it. Okay, God, at the end of 21 days, it's gonna be sold. Guess what? It's still on the market. And then, you know, time and time again, I keep giving God time frames. July 8th, I don't know why that was on my head, but July 8th, this house is gonna sell and it's gonna be awesome. Guess what? It's July 13th. But God has a better plan than I do. And even something silly. I'm not trying to compare a house sale to a diagnosis, but it's a big deal to me right now. I also believe that your big deal is a big deal to God too. And he hears you and sees you, even through things that maybe don't seem like a big deal. And I keep playing this song, On Time God, you love the impossible. On time God, you love doing miracles. You're never too late. You never give up. Anybody else? Anybody else have a series of On Time God that I just have to keep reminding myself that he has a plan better than my own? And even when he didn't heal my mom, how I thought she should have been healed, he's an on-time God. And he never gives up. I want you to understand that, because I don't know what you're going through. If you've gone through something for a while, maybe you're unemployed. Maybe you have a struggle at work that you're not understanding. Maybe you've been contending for someone for a long time and it feels like you're going nowhere. On time, God, you love the impossible. On time, God, you love doing miracles. You're never too late, you never give up. Nothing's too far gone for the on-time God. See, you're gonna wanna listen to it now, okay? Okay, this is helpful because it's good to be reminded that even when it's not my plan, that God has a plan. I wanna tell you that this message would be way easier if everything was going great in my life right now. I want to tell you, like, I'd have my 4 kids march out here. You'd all clap because they're so cute. Parker's not wearing athletic shorts today, which is a miracle in itself. On time, God, okay? It would be really easy for you guys to look at the Jacks and think, yeah, but you've got it all together now. For those of you that know us well, know that that's very far from the truth. We still have struggles. We still have things that happen. After my mom passed, we've even had difficult family dynamics. And there's things that I want to say, God, I did not sign up for this. God, this is not what I had in mind when it came to my future family. God, this is not the timing that I had envisioned. God, this is not the plan that you had for me. But he said, oh yes, I'm the on-time God. I want to encourage you today. I don't know what you're sitting in, but it's time to meet Jesus on the road. It's time to bring your problems to him. Every Sunday, we have people that stand down here and pray after service. You might not know that because you slip out early. Well, now you know. There are people down here to pray with you. And whether you're going through anxiety, whether you're going through a marriage struggles, whether finances are tight, there are people here to contend with you. I want you to understand that you're not alone, but I also don't want you to think that you can't bring someone with you. I want to show you this passage in John chapter 12. This is the last time we see Martha in the Bible. And it says this: 6 days before the Passover celebration began, Jesus arrived in Bethany, the home of Lazarus, the man he had raised from the dead. A dinner was prepared in Jesus' honor. Martha served, and Lazarus was among those who ate with them. Then Mary took the 12-ounce jar of expensive perfume, made the essence of nard, and she anointed Jesus' feet with it, wiping his feet with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance. I want you to go back to verse 2 with me. It says, a dinner was prepared in Jesus' honor. Martha served. What was Martha doing in the first passage we read? She served. But do you know what's different? There's no mention of her being distracted. There's no mention of her being upset. Martha served. I want to show you that no matter what season you're in, that it's okay to continue to serve and to continue to contend. Because then it says, after it talks about Martha served, it says that Mary was there. Well, guess where Mary wasn't? Still in the house. Do you know why Mary's not still in the house? Martha went and got her. I want you to see that through this story of Martha, she started bitter and upset. Then she saw God come through, and now she's still serving, but she brought Mary with her. I want to show you that when you contend for somebody, when you give your story of God's transformation to someone else, not only does it change them, but it changes you. I want you to see that Mary is no longer, or Martha is no longer stuck in bitterness and anger. If you're there, it's not a fun place to be. I want you to release that. I want you to meet Jesus because he has so much more for you. And I want you to have somebody in mind. It's exhausting. It's tiring. It can be difficult. But can I tell you what? My friend Stephanie, the day she got baptized is a day I will never forget. And last week, her 2 children were baptized. It was a long 9 years. It was a long 9 years of being ignored. But God came through. Not in my timing, in his timing. I don't know what your next steps of faith are. We talk about them all the time up here. Can I tell you who has not yet gone to claim? Awkward, it's true. Okay, I tell you guys all the time to go to claim, but I'm signed up for August. Do you know why? Because I have a friend that's going with me to claim in August, and I'm super excited. I want you to take the next step in your faith and bring somebody with you. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have it all together. I tell people all the time, I'm still in my journey. I love Jesus. I've messed up. Here we are. Come with me. I want you to know that your story matters too. I want you to bring somebody with you. Go to claim with them. I'll let you sign up now. You can do it on your phone or the blue balloons. Maybe you haven't been baptized yet, or maybe your friend sitting next to you hasn't been baptized yet. Guess what? You can do that today. We have shirts, we have shorts, we have towels. There's no reason to wait any longer. I want you to take these steps in your faith, but I want you to bring somebody with you, because as we saw with Martha, it's not just about God healing Lazarus. It's about the work that he did in Martha too. Martha might not have been actually dead, but she was dead to Jesus until she had new life in him and saw the transformation that he was willing to do. I want you to hear me clearly. Some of us need to get out and meet Jesus on the road. Some of us need to take that first step, and we're going to do that in just a few minutes. But some of us need to focus on who we're going to bring with us. Because maybe it's been a while since you've invited somebody to church. Maybe it's been a while because you're reflecting on all of the other issues that you've had. Maybe church hurt is a part of your story and you're like, I'm just not sure about this yet. I'm not sure I can trust yet. Well, guess what? Don't let your issues with the church be your issues with God. He is still good. Don't let your issues with others become your issues with God. I want you to continue walking with him. And I'm gonna step on toes for just a minute, okay? As Jesse always says, send your complaints to jesse.lowry. You know, I've heard a lot. I've been in church for a long time. I've heard a lot that I need to take a break from serving. I'm tired. Somebody hurt my feelings. I just need to take a break. I just need to work on me. Tell me in scripture where it says just stop serving, just stop contending, just focus on you. It doesn't say that. It says that it wants us to continue to make Christ-like disciples. As we are growing, we are bringing other people with us. I know we get tired, but I'm telling you, when somebody you want to know Jesus starts in a relationship with him, everything will change. I think about my own kids. I hope there's never a day that they're away from Jesus. But I also just want to pray over them. I hope that there's somebody that contends for my kids. I hope somebody has it in their mission that I'm never gonna let that Jack kid get away from Jesus. Do you have a kid that you've been contending for? Do you have somebody in your life? Do you have a family member that you've been contending for a long time? I don't want you to give up on it because it's tiring and hard. I want to show you that God is going to come through. And everybody I encounter, I need to remind myself this is a child of God that also needs contended for. When the lady at McDonald's messes up my order and won't smile at me, I say, challenge accepted, let's go. Because she's a child of God. And it's my job also as a child of God to show her the love of Jesus. I want to see God come through. I want you to see God come through. So if you would, stand with me. Some of you have been sitting in the house for a long time. Maybe somebody hurt you. Maybe there's brokenness. Some of you might need to leave today and make a phone call to a relationship that needs mended. Some of you might need to just step out of the house and meet Jesus. Some of you maybe prayed for something that didn't go how you thought it was going to. Maybe there was a diagnosis in the family that's kind of shook everyone. Maybe it was for you. And maybe it's been a little bit tough to have faith. But I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you that maybe God didn't answer in the way you thought he should or in the timing that you thought he should, but he's still going to come through. I want to encourage the person today that maybe has never said yes to Jesus. We do a prayer every week together. We repeat this prayer to start a relationship with him. But if anybody here is hurting today, I want to remind you that you can come up and pray afterwards. And today, if you decide you want to start your relationship with Jesus, I want you to tell somebody too. The Blue Balloons has a resource for you. You can come tell me. I would love that. But we say this prayer because I want you to get out of the house and meet Jesus on the road. So if you would, repeat after me. Lord, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Savior of the world, that he gave his life to forgive my sins and was raised from the grave to give me life. I receive your grace by faith. Come into my life. I will follow you. Amen. Can we celebrate everyone that made that decision?